Hi, this is Richard from the content team, and I've got the pleasure of taking you through the brand new V-Home Safety Starter Kit proposition from Vodafone and Samsung. A lot of the things I'm going to tell you have been communicated directly to us from the IoT team in Samsung and also from the training team within Vodafone. So the presentation is fairly straightforward and it contains an awful lot of information in the notes. I would urge you after this training video that you head over to the V-Home website and also the SmartThings UK website and get extra information, look at the FAQs, get as much information as you can around the subject. Specifically, you need to really understand the V-Home proposition because this varies greatly from the standard SmartThings retail offering. The training window for you guys starts on the 1st of November for 2 weeks, and V-Home is already set up in wall bays and installations in over 400 stores around the UK. So we've got to get to all 400 stores within the UK. We've got an agreed 1 hour training time in these stores with the tech team staff members. The idea is you will go in, do the 1 hour training with that tech team member, which might be an elite, and then the Vodafone member of staff that you have trained will cascade this training to all the other staff members within the store. So you will have a copy of this presentation that is shareable with the store, so you can leave it with them. Just to reiterate, you are only training that member of staff. It's then their job to cascade the training around the store. So we need to make sure this training is really impactful and they fully understand everything before you leave. So when they spread that message across their store, everybody will fully understand this proposition, everyone will get it, and everyone will be able to sell correctly and with confidence. So let's get started with the presentation itself. So we find ourselves here at slide 1. So be at home even when you're not. This is a tagline for Vodafone V-Home. The thing to remember is Vodafone offer 2 main propositions in this retail space. They offer the in-home and an out-of-home service. The in-home service, which is V-Home SmartThings, does not require a V-SIM. The out-of-home services, including things like V-Pet and V-Bag, require a subscription to a V-SIM. So just to make that point again, this Vodafone V-Home service does not require a SIM card subscription. Before you go into stores, please make sure that you've downloaded the V by Vodafone app and you've had a quick look around it. There's not a huge amount you can do unless you subscribe to the service, but there is a Q&A section within the app and it just shows you've got some understanding around the application. Also, make sure you've downloaded the latest SmartThings app and have that on your phone. Also, make sure before you leave store that in store they have the SmartThings app and the V by Vodafone app working in store so they can show this to customers, talk around it and demonstrate it effectively. So looking at slide 2. This is the first opportunity you have to find out exactly what the current knowledge and understanding of that member of staff is when you go in. So what can you tell me about V-Home? Specifically this kit and this proposition. So you will straight away ask that member of staff. We're not trying to catch them out, we're just trying to gauge their current level of understanding. See what they say, and then you can tailor the training to really boost the areas you think they might be weaker at, and then maybe just do quick recapping over the areas that they're pretty strong on. As you click through the slide, it will come up with more information, so it's really important that they understand that there is a £99 upfront cost. This covers the hardware. There is then a £14 per month subscription for 24 months for the connected services, which we'll go through shortly. If the customer wishes to cancel, they can return within 30 days. That's okay, that's a cooling off period. But after that, they are signed up for a full 24 months at £14 a month. The only way they could finish that subscription earlier would be if they buy themselves out of the contract at the full cost. A really powerful thing to point out is the fact that the 4 items that come in the pack have got an RRP of nearly £250. So they are getting a subsidised hardware solution here. So it's great value. On to the next slide, we get the first look at the 4 items within the V-Home Safety Starter Kit. So you've got the hub, the camera, the siren, and the multi-purpose sensor. The siren isn't made by Samsung, but we're still training on it briefly because it forms part of this package. We all understand by now that there are two different protocols that SmartThings uses. So it uses Zigbee and Z-Wave. You only need to cover this topic really briefly, and it's just so they understand that it uses this kind of technology rather than Wi-Fi because it allows these devices, or a lot of these devices, to be battery powered and give them over a year's battery life. So it makes it much more convenient when it comes to locating and powering these devices. On the next slide, we look at the V-Home Hub. Now, we've reworded how we talk about this. So we always used to say, this is the brains of the operation. Well, it's not quite that clever. So we're going to talk to the people in stores, and they need to talk to customers about the fact that the hub is the connection that, or bridge, that joins all of these smart devices together. And when you click on the slide, it also goes in to say, setting up the hub couldn't be simpler. So they download the apps, they unbox the equipment, they connect the hub to the mains, they connect the hub to their existing router using a Cat5 cable which comes in the box. Again, there is no SIM card needed here, and the customer needs to connect this hub to their existing router at home. The hub does not contain a router. The next slide, we look at the multi-purpose sensor, and this is identical to what we've talked about and trained on before. So it has up to a 4cm detection range, which means it's much more convenient for being able to locate it in tricky places, garages, cupboards, windows, etc., and doors. And then it's got a little question, did I leave the window open when I left the house? You'll get an alert when a window or garage door is open or closed. And we also say that this is powered by battery, so it can be positioned anywhere conveniently with no drilling. It can also be relocated if you need to, or if you move home, and that battery life is up to 1 year. All of this will be controlled through the SmartThings app. The multi-purpose sensor also has a temperature sensor built in, so it will be able to alert you if you want if there's a rapid increase or decrease in temperature. It's also got an accelerometer, and this can be set really effectively so it knows the difference between somebody, say, knocking on a door or window or actually trying to force or break that door or window. And this stops false alerts happening. Next up is the camera, and there's some important things to know about the camera. So it is a wireless camera, but it does require mains power. So where you're locating it needs to be within reach of the mains cable that comes supplied with it. It does record at 720p HD. It has night vision capability, and it also has motion detection. So you can use the camera, if it detects motion, to trigger an alert or an alarm. This is a Samsung SmartThings camera, but it isn't available to the general public. It is only available from Vodafone and is locked to this system. So if you try and take this camera out of the package and put it into a standard SmartThings kit, it won't work because it's locked to Vodafone. If customers want to purchase more of this camera, they can purchase them through store, and they are £86 each. If they don't have stock in store, then they can do the transaction in store, and then it will get sent to the customer's address. One of the great things about the V-Home proposition is the fact that you have video cloud storage. The camera itself doesn't store footage, but the V-Home cloud will store footage for you. And we'll go on to those connected services shortly because they add a lot of value onto this service. On the next slide, we look at the Zapato Siren. This isn't made by us, but it is supported through SmartThings and through the SmartThings app. This is a small device that is battery powered, but it can also be powered by a micro USB mains if the customer wants to put it somewhere long-term near a power socket. You can set up using SmartThings the alarm, the siren, to be triggered if, say, a window or door is open. So if the multi-purpose sensor detects something's been opened, then you can set the SmartThings app to say, in that event, sound the siren. Now the siren has got a volume between 85 and 115 decibels in that range. The battery lasts for up to 1 year. It's not a rechargeable battery though. The volume, say it goes up to 115 decibels, according to various websites, that sound level is equivalent to an emergency vehicle siren, or some other websites say it's equivalent to an average rock concert. That volume, quite specifically, is as loud as you can go and not cause any damage to people's hearing. So it's an incredibly loud siren that will alert anybody in a house that it's been triggered, but it's not that loud that it will cause permanent hearing damage. And that's the 4 main items covered that come in the Safety Starter Kit. On the next slide, we're going to look at the connected services. So exclusive vHome services. This is really good to talk about because it bigs up what the customer is paying the £14 for. Effectively, cloud video storage and a monitored alarm solution. These connected services are a key differentiator for Vodafone within the marketplace. So it's really important that we understand these services and get behind them. Because rather than looking at purely the cost, we need to look at how this offers fantastic value for a customer. So we move on to the next slide, and what you see on this slide is exactly what you would see on the Vodafone website. So we're going to look specifically at the vHome Alarm Assistant. Now, this is branded as vHome Alarm Assistant, or VAA. It's actually powered by the security company ADT, but we don't really need to talk about that, especially to the customer. As long as they know that it is a service that's supplied by Vodafone, then fantastic. As part of the setup process with the vHome app, you will set up your subscription charge, and also you can set up nominated contacts. Key thing is, if an event is triggered, say a window is opened when it shouldn't be, or motion's detected on the camera in the middle of the night, then 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, somebody's monitoring that. If you don't deal with the notification, then an alert will be passed on to the VAA team and they will attempt to contact you. If you're not available, then they will then go ahead and contact one of your nominated contacts. So for example, if an alarm is triggered while you're on holiday, you can have the peace of mind that the VAA are monitoring this and they will contact one of your nominated contacts, so then they can go round and deal with whatever the problem might be. It's worth knowing that you cannot set the emergency services to be a nominated contact. You have to set one of your friends or family. And that said, you can set up more than one nominated contact in case somebody's not available. If we look at the next slide, there is a service stages graph and it shows how it works. So initially the SmartThings app is notified that something's happening. Then the next stage would be the siren going off. The next stage would be Vodafone get a notification. The next stage would be there'd be an inbound call to you from Vodafone. You can't call that number back. It is purely an inbound call to you. Then, if you're available, there'll be a two-way conversation 24/7 between you. So you can say, absolutely fine, I've now dealt with that alarm. It was a malfunction or it was mistriggered or whatever. And then the final stage will be, if they can't contact you, then the team will attempt to contact one of your nominated, trusted contacts. The next stage of this is the home monitoring. So this is all basically talking about the Samsung SmartThings app. So if you want to go in and look at your video feed, if you want to change the scenes, the automations, if you want to add new devices, all of that is done via the SmartThings app. So not to get confused, you use the vHome app to set up your subscription, put in your phone numbers, set up your trusted contacts, but then all of the adding and removing of devices, setting up automations, routines and scenes and different rooms, naming the different products, etc. All of that is still done through the standard new SmartThings app. The next part of the Vodafone services is the video storage. So when you subscribe, Vodafone will give you up to 10 gig of cloud storage capacity for video storage. Like we said before, the video camera doesn't store footage on the camera itself. So normally you would only be able to go into the SmartThings app and view a live feed. What this will allow you to do will be to store up to 14 days worth of footage. Now 14 days worth on average is about 10 gig worth. What happens when the 10 gig gets filled up? It will then, like a dash cam really, it will go back and it will start recording over the earliest footage. So you have the opportunity through the app to pull down and save those video clips if they happen to be important to you, if they're evidence for a break-in, if they are some footage that you want to keep, then this service allows you to have up to 10 gig of completely safe and secure cloud storage. It's really worth pointing out to the staff and to customers that cloud storage that we use is based on European servers. It's not global, so it's very safe, it's well protected, and all the data handling and storage is fully GDPR compliant. Now, if it was global servers, other countries don't have the GDPR compliance, so it's not, we'd consider not as secure. So customers can sleep at night knowing that anything that is stored securely. Taking a look at the next slide, we look at additional vHome packages. Now, these are offered directly from Vodafone. So they've got the detection kit and they've got the automation kit. But it doesn't just stop there. They don't have to buy these kits. These are being put together for simplicity, but customers can pick and choose and buy individual items if they wish. So for example, the Fabaro smoke sensor is a SmartThings item and it costs £60 if you buy on its own. And then the water leak sensor is available from Vodafone and it's a cost of about £25. A really important thing to remember is that even though this is a Vodafone exclusive proposition, any devices that works with SmartThings, so anything that's being rated to work on the SmartThings platform, can be used and added to this kit. If a customer goes out after buying the safety starter kit and buys another 10 multi-purpose sensors and they buy a full set of 15 or 20 Hue light bulbs, those will then become part of this system, exactly like if they bought a SmartThings setup from Samsung.com. The good thing is, if they buy something that detects, like the motion sensor or the water leak sensor or another multi-purpose sensor, they then, if they are triggered, the Vodafone Alarm Assistant service will still get that notification and they will still attempt to contact you or a nominated contact. What's great is it means that the customer will buy this kit from Vodafone. They can also buy additional accessories and items directly from Vodafone. But if then they choose to go out and buy other items from our third-party partners, such as Yale door locks and Sonos sound systems, all of that can be added to this system. So it's not a really locked down system. It is a fully scalable system for customers and they can enjoy the true benefits of SmartThings. In the notes on this slide, there's a lot more about the specifics of each of these devices. So it talks about the prices, it will talk about the fact that the items come with a 2-year warranty, and it will talk about things like the smoke sensor will detect if the temperature goes up to 54 degrees. So it gives you early detection of smoke and fires. So all the extra information you need, I'm not going to go through now. It's all in the notes for you to read and to absorb and understand. The next slide is what I've already talked about briefly, but we really need to drive this message home. So the vHome system has a really simple setup. They'll get home, they'll download the vHome application, they'll follow the on-screen instructions. At some point during that setup process, it will prompt them to download the SmartThings app and it will link it. So literally, they'll press on a button and it will start the download. The really important message to remember here is that customers have to set up a Samsung account on their device to be able to download the SmartThings app and use SmartThings. That said, customers can use SmartThings and use this vHome kit with Samsung, with non-Samsung Android and iOS devices as well. There's some minimum specs, so you've got to be on a minimum of Android 4.1 and your iOS has got to be 9.0 or later, which really isn't a problem for 99% of customers out there. The setup process is super simple. So they download the app, they follow the instructions, they set up their subscription and put in their contact details. They then look at downloading the SmartThings app. They then set up all of their starter kit devices within the SmartThings app, and then they activate the vHome monitoring service and they're good to go. So it's a really simple, straightforward onboarding process. On the next slide, we look at the fact it's got a really simple installation. So there's an image here with a multi-purpose sensor put on a door. Now, because it will stick to the door, you don't have to do any drilling, there's no wiring. So it's really important to remember that if a customer chooses to move house or remodel their house, then they can easily move and change. This is also really good for people who rent their house or flat because it means they can set up SmartThings and know they're not causing any damage to the house, which might actually cause them to lose their initial deposit. When you click next, there is a short SmartThings video which helps bring to life some of the devices and how they work, and it shows them in situ. So things like the water leak sensor, it'll show water dripping on it and how it actually can activate an alert. So next on to slide 16, This is a slide we've seen before, so it shows that, you know, it's a really big ecosystem, and when customers buy this kit, they are buying into a massive ecosystem, so they can really scale up their system and buy as many devices as they want. So we've got over 50 partners in the market, and currently there's over 300 devices that work with SmartThings, so it's really flexible and really scalable. Don't forget as well that SmartThings is still the only platform that will allow you to have Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant on the same system. Next, on slide 17, this is the time to really drive home the message of SmartThings. So again, exactly what I've just said, the vHome Safety Starter Kit is only the beginning of the customer's journey with SmartThings. So it starts with the Vodafone proposition and the SmartThings proposition. It starts with our devices and partner devices. It can add into the Samsung ecosystem, so customers who've already got Samsung products can massively benefit from this as well. And then we look at our partners. So it's really flexible, it's really customizable, and it's heavily supported within the market. Remember to focus on the fact that SmartThings really is a unique proposition, and the platform of SmartThings really is the only way to offer this kind of interoperability and to bring many apps and many services and many brands and products all together under one simple to operate application. Slide 18 is a quick recap. So there's a recap on the 3 services and there's a recap on the 4 products, just to make sure that the person you're talking to absolutely gets what you've been talking about. So the next 3 slides are kind of role play activity slides, and Vodafone and especially Samsung are really focusing on this part of the training. So really make sure you nail this bit. So the first one is, so what would you do with SmartThings? Really quick, simple conversation where you're throwing it over to them. You've taught them all this stuff about the services and about the products. How would they set up the vHome kit in their own home? What extra items would they buy? What kind of routines and scenes would they set up? Would they have a party house? Would they have, you know, for discos? And would they have cinema night? We want them to think a little bit about how they would use it in their real life. So this starts their storytelling and enables them to put together really meaningful scenarios that they can talk to their customers about. On the next slide, this is vHome tailored to your customers' needs. Now there's some pretty terrible pictures included on this slide, but it's just to start them, you know, thinking about how they can tailor this to their customer. So this flips things around a little bit. So get the delegate, get the tech trainer, to ask you some questions as if you are a customer. So they're trying to ask some open and closed questions, find out how they could tailor vHome to you. So make sure that what they're saying is accurate and absolutely on message. They might want to ask you things like, what kind of household do you live in? How big is it? Is it a flat? Is it on the ground floor? Do you have a smart TV at home? Do you have Alexa? Do you have Google Assistant? Have you got children? Have you got pets? Do you live alone? Do you want to check in on people remotely in your house? Do you want to know when people are arriving, when they're leaving? So it's really important that we can witness the delegate actually explaining to us as if they were talking to a customer. So it really shows an understanding of the service, the proposition and the devices, and it means that they are understanding what we're offering here and what they're offering, and making sure they sell, you know, accurately, sensibly and realistically to a customer, and really wow them to get them to want to purchase this solution. So the next slide is a quick quiz, and who doesn't love a quiz? So there's 5 simple questions here. So what's the cost to the customer of buying it? So we're going to talk about the upfront cost. We're also going to talk about the subscription charge. The next one is describe the vHome proposition in simple terms in less than 60 seconds to check they're really nailing it. Next question, how could the safety starter kit benefit a customer living alone? So we are talking about vulnerable people. We're talking about people who, you know, an alarm would be really useful for. Next question, what other accessories could the customer add to their safety starter kit? So we do want to focus on the things that they can sell the customer from store, but obviously they might want to talk about the third parties, the partner stuff they can buy as well. Question 5, describe a scenario other than home monitoring and security that could wow a potential customer. So again, we're triple checking that they really understand what they're selling, what they're offering to the customer, and making sure they can really bring it to life. The next slide is an in-store compliance slide. It's not a very pretty slide, but it's really useful for them. to know what to do if the tablet content isn't playing correctly, if there's POS missing or it's not correct, and if the demos aren't present or correct as well. So it just gives them the opportunity to know the correct escalation system. So the next slide is a quick quiz. This won't feature in the training that you'll be delivering to the delegates in store. This is just for you. So there's a URL and there's also a QR code. What you need to do is go to that link and complete the quick quiz online. And that's just to check that you have a good understanding and knowledge of what I've just talked to you about here. So if you could please immediately go to that link and complete the quiz. There is a compliance piece in this, so we can monitor that everybody has done this quiz, so we know that you are trained and you're ready to go into stores and deliver this messaging for us. The last slide is just a thank you slide, but in the notes it does have FAQ links, so the FAQs for the SmartThings UK website and also the FAQs for the Vodafone vHome site. So that's great, so you can go on that, check that out yourself, and also leave that information with stores. A major shout out is the fact that running up to Christmas, there's going to be a £50 incentive for store staff. So every box set they sell, they will get £50 worth of vouchers. This is a massively powerful incentive for staff and should really drive the sell-through of the vHome Safety Starter Kit. What we have to make sure from our side is that when they are pushing this and selling it and earning that reward for themselves in the run to Christmas, they are selling honestly, correctly, openly to customers. They understand what they're buying. They know they're subscribing to a system for 2 years and making sure that they are really going to value what they're buying. So that's the end of this session. Thank you very much for seeing it through to the end with me. Just to reiterate, this is going into store, training on an agreed 1 hour time slot with the tech team member in the Vodafone stores, starting from the 1st of November with a 2-week window. And there will be an MCS report to fill in as well about compliance and about the training. So thank you very much and good luck. I will be on annual leave for the next 2 weeks. So if you have any questions or queries, could you please field those through to Josh Lewis. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that all made sense and good luck out there.